Hello.
Hello, welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 198,
What day
and
is it, Laura?
it's March 30th
How do you know that?
because it's my birthday.
It is your
And
birthday.
people
Yay!
keep texting me, wishing me a happy birthday, so it must be true.
Yes, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're old like me now.
I'm never as old as you because you were born prior to me.
This is true.
Your
But
birthday's
only
in
about 6
August.
months. So.
That's true.
Yes, that's Laura. And it's her birthday today.
Could I do the princess wave? I've been doing this at school, like as a wave, and the kids are like, "That's not a wave. That's a finger, Miss Linneman."
This is true. They're going to go to the principal saying, Miss Lindman gave me the finger.
Wrong finger.
So that's Laura. I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. And she's Lala.
Yep.
And this is
Now
our
my whole show's
198th.
off because we're like all jumbled.
We are, but that's okay.
It is true.
We're jumbled in a sort of lovable way. That's what I tell myself. So, knitting. That's what this is. It's about knitting. So what are you knitting?
I am knitting on a pair of lollipop yarn socks on size 1, 2.25 needles. And they are in the Be My Huckleberry colorway. And this is the second one. And it has not gotten a ton of work done on it this week. Just a couple rows. And this is the first one. And these are going to be true afterthought socks with a hat head style heel. So they'll be snipped. A single stitch will be snipped where it needs to be placed. Around 2 inches less than the total length that I need for the foot of the sock, and then I'll work the heel. So I haven't measured any of that out yet, but I will. I'll probably just stand on top of it and just go, oop, that's 2 inches, and snip a stitch.
You could do the fish lips kiss heel thing where you draw out your foot and then it gives you the measuring point.
Mm-hmm. Cat 40 does that too.
Oh, does she? Okay.
Yeah, like her book from years ago had you do that for
the one that your mom has a poster of.
No,
Treasury of something.
Mom doesn't have a poster of that. She's got a poster of hold on a second.
It's the shoes that you're supposed to wear with sandals or clogs.
I'll be right back because it's in my garage.
Magical knitting patterns.
No, it's not a Cat 40. It's hold on. I'll be right back. I'm gonna leave you plugged in. So
Yeah.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
It's weird. I remember things like, and I'm talking to just you guys now because Laura can't hear me. But I'm a very visual memory person. I'm sure there's a word for it, but I remember things like their mom has this poster of the socks with a black back. Yes, that that.
I still can't hear you because I had it unplugged. But it's Anna Zielborg from, was that 1998?
Socks for sandals and clogs.
Yep. This is going in my garage, FYI.
I didn't realize it had been passed on to you. I'm sure Weezy's very sad about that.
He is. So let me set it off to the side. And make it, no! Hold on. I can't do this. This whole show is like up in the air this week. Alright, there we go. That's my poster that's going in my garage. Socks for Sandals and Clogs by Anna Zellberg. And I think she redid that book a couple years ago. But I love how like bright and cheerful the pictures are.
Mm-hmm. And the socks are really cool looking. They're way more intricate than I'd probably ever do.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot of like ferrule and intarsia and cables and baubles and lace and some cool like stripe work. I have no idea where she got that. I'll have to ask her. I'm sure it was like with the book somehow.
Yeah.
But I have no idea. 1999, which is the year I graduated high school. I totally lost my knitting. Anyway, so the other thing that I'm knitting on is the Red Robin shawl. And it's almost done. It would be done, but I decided to make it longer.
You're on the mesh part.
Yeah, it's not really mesh. It's yarn over, knit 2, push and pull the yarn over. So it's like a...
Oh, okay.
It's kind of... It's different. I like it. It's a textured section. So I've actually finished with that. This is all 10 rows of that. But I am going to do... it's a 4-row repeat, so I'm going to do another 4 rows.
How much do you have left of the yarn?
Oh, a ton. So the pattern calls for 380 yards, and I was using a yarn that was 437.
Oh, okay.
And the original has those big tassels that use up yarn.
Yeah.
So I have a good bit. So I'm not doing the tassels. I'm going to do a beaded bind off to give it a little bit of weight and heft.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think I'm going to do the Pico beaded bind off from her other pattern that I did, Glitz on the Ritz. So I have this much left. So what this shawl is Red Robin. It is a shawl by Helen Stewart, who has a podcast, an audio podcast. I started listening to it today, and now I'm totally lost my mind, and my phone's going off, so I apologize for that. Let me silence that. What is the name of her podcast? Hold on, 1 second, because I had it up. I don't know, it's gone now. But she's the Curious Collective, Curious Handmade. Now I'm totally lost. Hold on, I'll grab it. I bet you it's on the pattern. So the pattern looks like... I actually bought another one of her patterns today. Curious Handmade is what it is. Her website. And that's what the pattern will look like when it's done. Like I said, so, I'm not doing those tassels.
Does, after the lace part, it has like a garter border or something?
It has a garter border, like 10 rows of garter.
That's cool.
So I can go for I can add more to the garter border at the bottom as well. And the pattern I just bought of hers actually uses this. It calls for the Alice.
Oh, cool.
Which I almost bought more of in the update, but I opted for her... apparently, I'm just going to talk about Helen Stewart patterns for like the next month.
Oh, pretty.
That's her new one, and it's on sale today through March 31st. So if you're watching this on Monday, March 31st, 2014, then you're good. This is Fireflies Rising. I thought that was pretty.
That is very pretty.
And it uses a skein of sock yarn. And I happen to have skeins of sock yarn.
Really? I wouldn't have thought you would have some laying around. That's so crazy.
I might do it out of DK, though, because I think that would be pretty in DK.
Yeah, it would.
Anyway, so I'm knitting the Red Robin shawl out of Juno Alice, which is the base, which is gorgeous. It is a 70% baby alpaca, 20% silk, 10% cashmere, and I just want to pet it all day long and call it my smooshy. Like I said earlier, it's 437 yards of a 4-ply sock yarn, and this is the Raisin colorway. And she's got an Etsy shop with some really interesting fiber blends. So I almost bought more Alice because I really am enjoying knitting with it. It's a lovely yarn with lots of drape because the alpaca with the silk
that's
really
a blend I haven't tried.
Drape. So and the beads are just gonna, when I add beads to this, it's just gonna add more to the drape and really make it pretty. But she had, what I bought was spinning fiber, and she had a Wensleydale silk, which was really interesting.
That'll be nice because the long staple of the Wensleydale will give it some crimpiness.
And she had Shetland silk.
Oh,
so
cool.
Those are two very unusual blends, and because she works with farmers in the UK, because she's from the UK, most Wensleydale, I think, is grown in the UK. I don't think there's a whole lot in the US, actually. I think there's something where they like prohibit the sending over of the ram. Like they're not allowed to import Wensleydale rams, something like that. So most Wensleydale, I feel like, lives in the UK. I could be wrong. I feel like that's a true statement.
I think that at least half of all the wool she uses is British wool.
Yeah, because like the other yarn that I got, that she sent us to review, that I got was Belle, and it's British Falkland, which is contradictory, like, because
Falkland is based on a region. It's not a type of sheep.
Yeah, it's not a breed of sheep. Technically, it's where they live. But Yeah, so I'm really excited about that fiber. You know, shipping from the UK is a little bit of an investment, but when you can get cool breeds and different blends that you can't get in the US, it's definitely worthwhile. So anyway, back to my lovely shawl. I am knitting it on size 6 needles, and like I said, it's almost done. So it should be done and blocked hopefully this week, and you will see it finished next week. Hopefully tonight, but you know.
With the beaded bind off? I don't know.
Yeah, I know. And I need to look through my beads and see that I actually have some beads that would work with this. I have silver left over from Glitz on the Ritz, but I think I want a purple that kind of blends more than blings. Because I really want it for the weight, not for the... Anyway.
Sparkliness.
Yeah, more so. So that is what... Oh, and the other thing I'm working on. I forgot the big thing. So, the other night, when we were done recording, what was that, Tuesday?
I think so.
I ripped out the button band on my antler. So there was it's a cardigan, and there was a button band that went down the front. And I ripped that completely out and got 2 balls about this size, and I haven't washed these yet. And then I tried it on, and I put a pin where I thought the length I wanted it to be, minus 2 inches. So because I'm going to reknit 2 inches of ribbing.
Right.
And then I also compared it to a store-bought sweater that I like the fit of. And this is about right. So I snipped a stitch on one side, and you can see I unwound and then put the live stitches back on a needle, and that's the needle for the ribbing, a size 6. And I had forgotten that I had alternated every other row, so I need to do that again. And I think I actually was off by a row when I snipped it. Like, I should have snipped it on the wrong side. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know that.
So for anybody who's wondering why you didn't just rip it from the bottom up, it's because it was a bottom up sweater.
Yes, it was.
So
a
you had to
snip
snip it and then rip downward.
Yes, definitely. So I got 2 skeins, and before washing, they look like this. They're crazy crimpy, because they've been in stitches for close to a year. And then after washing, they look like that. So all I did was throw it in some warm water with some soak and let it sit for a while, and then hung it with no weights to dry. And I made sure each of these has 3 ties on it. So
oh yeah, definitely.
So this is the first half, and I have basically a whole skein here. This is 110 yards, and then this is 110 yards.
Cool.
So, yeah, I got some weight, and then I have all these for the bands and leftover. So I have around 2 skeins to play with now. I'm going to reknit the bottom band, and then when I'm done with that, I am going to snip up here, wherever I wove in the ends up here, and rip back a little bit on this ribbing, add in some decreases, and make the ribbing go up a little bit higher.
So instead of it being more boat necky, it'll be more crew.
Yeah, hopefully it'll go in a little bit more. So like another inch of ribbing at the top, which means I might add, if this is 3 inches, I might make my bottom. I'm gonna measure this and see how wide this is and make my bottom ribbing to match.
That's a good idea.
I'm also thinking about shortening the sleeves and just doing the same thing that I did at the bottom on the sleeves and making them 3/4. I haven't decided on that yet. And then I'm going to try it on at that point and see if I want a zipper or if I want to redo a button band, depending on fit.
I sure hope this fits you after all the work you're doing. You've knit it completely once, and now you're doing, and I love the whole entrepreneurial, I'm gonna fix it attitude. I hope it fits so that you don't burn it.
I'm not gonna burn it because wool only smolders, it doesn't burn.
That's true.
I would just throw it in the trash. No, I would undo the yarn and use it for something else.
I would probably have to send it away to somebody else. I wouldn't be able to look at it.
It's too pretty. It's Madeline Tosh Vintage in the Rainwater colorway, so it's really a pretty colorway. and I've invested so much money in it at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it needs to be made into something. I also have another sweater that I am going to change some things on, so I think I'm gonna rip it. It is a top down, so I think I'm gonna rip it back to here and decrease more. Yeah, like right above the bust and shorten it up there. Anyway, that is about it for me. What are you working on?
So I have several things on the needle. This week, it was really hard for me not to cast on all the things. Like, I had so many things I really want to make. And occasionally I do give in and just cast on a bajillion things, but I felt like I had enough going on. I didn't want to cast any more stuff on, and like every few months I'll do sort of a organizational day where I'll find all my needles and put them in the little organization thing I have, and put all my little leftover cakes in the spots that they belong and all that, but I haven't done that in a while, so I don't know where some of my stuff is. So that also prevented me, which is good. But I did manage to finish the body of the driftwood.
Oh, wow.
Which is by Isabel Kramer. So this is the front. I need to pick up the button band and stuff. But I did add the purple at the bottom, and then about 1.5 inches of ribbing. I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, so it is super duper stretchy. I tried it on, and it's a nice loose fit, which is exactly what I wanted.
Cool.
I need to do the arms and the button band.
Then you're done.
And yeah, and then I'll be done. Well, the neck and the button. Anyway, the finishing parts. And there's a bajillion ends to weave in because of it.
So you did the sleeves as well?
The sleeves are, it's the short row, what is it called?
Contiguous.
Contiguous, thank you. The contiguous sleeves that are part of it, and then you just put them on waist yarn, kind of like any top-down sweater. And so I'll pick that up and pick up stitches under the arm and decrease and
How long are you going to make your sleeves?
I think I'm just going to make them about half sleeves, because I intend for this to be worn like today would actually be a perfect day to wear it, because it's kind of cold and it's rainy and it's dreary, and I would just probably wear it over a long sleeve plain t-shirt of some sort. So probably just half sleeves. And I think I'm going to do something weird with the striping. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But I like that hand making things gives you the opportunity to be weird.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't really worked on the daisy hat this week, and that is in the Juno Fiber Arts in the Wren. Mainly because I left it down here after I was finished editing and forgot about it.
I understand.
So it's just been sitting here. But I did cast on a new pair of socks.
Cool.
And they are out of some yarn that 2 of my friends participated in purchasing, and that is Magic and Moonshine and Your Mom's Kitchen. And my friend Amy sent this to me, and Laura helped her pick it out at was it the Magnolia thing?
It was Magnolia. I don't know that they're coming back this year.
Yeah, I don't know if they are either, but
that's funny because it's the same colorway almost as the worm socks that
I that's when I was knitting it, I was like, man, these colors look so familiar.
It's a little bit more orange than red. It looks like.
But I like it. Funny. So, and I'm knitting Socks on a Plane by this chick named Laura that I know.
Yeah.
And I am actually doing Toe Up, which is not my favorite. I prefer top down.
Oh, I love Toe Up.
And I did do the Fish Lips Kiss Heel on the toe up. I did manage to keep the striping in sequence, although the stripe is a little fatter, but whatever.
Cool.
So I've just got the yellow to go, and then I'll start ribbing, and these fit really well. And the yarn is nice and plump, so it's a very densely knit sock, which I like. I don't like my socks to be...
I'm actually wearing my... Yeah, I'm wearing my socks out of their yarn right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a really
nice yarn.
It's not quite as... It seems like it plumps really nicely. So
these have worn really well. So I knit these like over a year ago, and I wear them all the time.
And this is a merino nylon blend, 400 yards.
Yep. They do good stuff.
Magic and Moonshine.etsy.com.
I'm hoping they're back there because I really like their stuff. Like, they go back again. They're slowly putting up their list of vendors, but we'll see.
I did at one point make an error because I didn't print out the pattern. I just kind of looked at it and understood what I was supposed to be doing. But here, in this yellow stripe, I neglected to catch that last stitch when I did the cable crossover. I pulled one of the purl stitches over, so it's off by a stitch, but totally not dropping down to fix it.
No, I wouldn't.
But that is all that I'm working on, and I don't have any FOs this week.
I do not as well. I do not either.
I've been on call, and I'm still on call for work, and I got to get up this morning at 4:30, which was awesome. But so a lot of I've been trying to get to bed early, plus Laura recommended a good book that ate up a lot of my time.
That book is so good.
Yeah, it's called Steel Heart.
It is.
And I'll look up the author in a minute. I'll put it in the show notes.
Is it Brandon Sanderson, something like that?
It's Brendan something. And it's a technically young adult, and it's sort of science fiction superheroes. Yeah. It's a good book. I liked it a lot.
If you have kids that liked the Rick Riordan books,
this is definitely one that I feel like a lot of the sci-fi lately has been geared more towards girls. And I think, and that's fine. Like, I don't have an objection to that, but I think that this is definitely one that the boys would like too. So
and I think the movie rights have been sold.
I wondered as soon as I finished reading it, I was like, this would make a great movie.
I hope the movie rights have been sold because it would make a fabulous movie. It's kind of like I did a book talk on it a couple weeks ago at school. It's kind of like X-Men meet like X-Men gone bad. Like the world is run by
the superheroes are all
gone wrong,
evil, and it's nice because like every science fiction book I've read in the past year, it's part of a trilogy. I don't understand why that's necessary, but it is apparently.
Get more money for a trilogy,
but it hints enough at things you'll learn later on to keep you interested without leaving you frustrated.
There's a novella too that goes in between.
Right, I added that to my wish list today. So
I've not read the novella yet.
Yeah, it's like
on to
$2
Water
or
Wars,
something.
I think.
Yeah, but I liked that a lot.
Yeah.
So spinning, you have some spinning, right?
I have a wee bit of spinning. I finished something that's been on my Lendrum for a couple months now, and that is some dripping fiber bats. They were
I like
the
how
Nitty
plump
Hill
they
colorway.
are.
Yeah, they're definitely a bulky. It's 160 yards. And I did overspin them. They're pretty dense, but once they got washed, it came out pretty well. It's still a little bit damp, so it's pretty heavy for 160 yards. Yeah, 160 of a 2-ply, and it's definitely like I need to work on my thick yarn because it's very thick and thin in places.
It's a struggle to consistently spin thick.
It is, and even like commercial yarn to some degree is thick and thin on the thickers, just because that's the nature of spinning thicker yarn. But I'm just not happy with it as a whole. I'll use it for like mittens, I think, or fingerless gloves. I think it'll be perfect for that, or a big squishy hat. But it is very heavy too, so I don't know.
I like it.
Thank you. I like the colors. Kim always does a wonderful job with her colors. I'm hoping she'll start back up her club sometime soon.
And that's Dripping Fiber Studios?
Dripping Fiber Studios. And she also, the Kaleidoscope Kim is her Ravelry name.
Yeah, she has pictures of pretty bats as her avatar.
She does, because she makes very pretty bats.
The little, whatever they're called, nest things.
Batlings.
There you go.
They're bigger than batlings, though. They're 1-ounce bats.
Oh, okay.
She actually has a Stretch
Carter.
Finest Carter and a Mad Batter.
Mad Batter is like huge.
If you get the double, it is definitely. I think on the double you can do 4-ounce bats, which is a big bat. Actually, I think on the double you can do like 6-ounce bats.
I don't know. It's
like
scary.
Crazy
it's big
and
scary.
That's scary. It's fun. We were fortunate enough that Elizabeth and Rue of the alpaca experience people let us play with one at SSK last year. I think that was a single.
I think it was too.
A single. I think Nicole Blue Goose Farm has a double.
Somebody down in that area, well, I guess she's not there anymore, but somebody that used to be down there had one because I remember seeing it.
Brenda had one.
Oh, well, maybe that's it.
I don't know. Now we're just talking about Mississippi folks and y'all don't care.
Yes, and that'll pertain to 4 of you that watch that are from that area. Hi, Eloise. Hi, Gail. Hi, Lowell. Okay. So I do have some spinning. This week has been good for me for spinning. Like, sometimes I'll go a month or more and I just won't feel like it. But this, so far, the past couple weeks have been good for it. So, I showed you last week the 2 bobbins worth of spinning that I had.
Yeah.
And that was in Big Alice dyes in the Storm Undrang colorway, which is a merino silk blend. I ended up getting 440 yards out of it. And it's really nice and soft and shiny. It was very well balanced when I took it off of the skein winder. And it dried nice and balanced as well. It definitely, you can feel the silk in it. It was really a great prep. And I definitely will buy from her again.
Did it have in it? Do you remember?
20% silk.
That's a good percentage.
Yeah, so it's nice and drapey. And I'm really happy with it. I think it came out really nicely. It reminded me how much I enjoy spinning with a percentage of silk. I don't necessarily love spinning just silk, but I do like spinning blends.
I think silk is fun to spin.
So there's 440 yards in that. And then, excuse me, I had arbitrarily, like 6 months ago, paired up this braid with this braid, which was a Nidian color and the goldenrod color, which is this, and it's the same percentage, 80% merino, 20% silk.
Uh-huh.
And it's in this really sunny gold color.
It's a bit of sunshine.
And so I wanted to do something with these 2 together.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking weaving, but now all the beautiful 2-color shawls out there, there's just too many of them. I'm going to have to pick one.
There's a lot.
I just really like these 2 colors together, and I don't care if anybody else doesn't. I like them together. So
I think they're pretty. It looks like sunshine and clouds.
Yeah. So I need to ply. I actually spun almost all of this morning while watching the Gilmore Girls.
Wow.
And I'll probably ply tonight while the video's doing its thing.
Yeah.
And then soak it later on this evening because I'm done with laundry already for the day. Woohoo!
I'm still doing laundry.
Of course, by the time I finish this podcast, there'll be another load waiting for me, I'm sure, but...
Perks of living with boys.
And both of these were spun on my sidekick. The shocked bobbins are interchangeable. I think I got all... These are actually not the sidekick bobbins. These are their regular bobbins for like the ladybug and the matchless, but all the shocked bobbins are interchangeable.
They are.
So, and I have a lot of them.
Actually, the ladybug doesn't come standard with those bobbins anymore.
Oh, does it not? It comes with the travel ones? That's interesting.
That's how they kept the price the same.
Oh, okay.
They upped the price on the matchless.
And we're hoping soon to be able to test out the Acreworks.
Yeah.
Matchless bobbins.
Super fun.
I know he's working on getting some out to testers.
Yeah.
And I really love the ones he made for the mini spinner. So.
Yep. I love my Lendrum ones as well. Although the Lendrum bobbins are much smaller than, like this is two individual, like one of these is 60 yards and the other is the 100, because all would not fit on one Lendrum.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Because they're like really, they're this size.
Yeah, Lendrum bobbins are smaller in general, not just his.
But no, they're all like, if you compare his with the regulars, I just happen to have a whole bunch of
whereas
bobbins
like
sitting
the
here.
mini spinner bobbins are huge.
Yeah, they're pretty small. I do not have so comparison of Lendrum bobbins to mini spinner bobbins.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the disc, the flat disc on the outside, also helps determine how much can go on the
shocked bobbins. I may have a bucket of bobbins sitting at my feet. So.
And shocks are rated to hold like 3.5 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the mini spinners are like 5 or more ounces.
Girl, I can get 8 plied on a mini spinner bobbin.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what the Lindrums.
Like 2, less than 2, I would say.
I would say definitely no more than 2.
Well, you can buy the plying head. Do you want to see my bucket of bobbins?
I think our audience might.
So, that's my bucket of bobbins.
Wow.
It's a Halloween bucket of bobbins. And there's the lace flyer bobbins in here too for the mini. But it's just a good way to keep them when I'm not using them out of the way.
To keep them from Humberto rolling them around on the floor?
No, he leaves them alone for the most part. He does other naughty things.
So I've heard. So we have a book review, although it is a magazine review.
It's a magazine, and it kind of leads very well into the spinning of silk that we were talking about earlier, because it is the new ply issue.
It's the 4th one.
Yep,
if
it's the 4th one.
Subscribed as part of the Kickstarter, then this is your last issue. You need to go out and renew if you're interested in renewing. I need to personally. So
yeah.
So in each issue has a theme, and silk is the theme of this one.
Creepy moth.
Yeah, that is a creepy moth. I will say that this issue is packed with articles, and there's one about raising silkworms with kids. I couldn't read it. I had to just move on.
See, and when I took the spinning silk class, she did a whole, she raised silkworms with her kids, and it's really fascinating. And people keep them in their fridge until they're ready for them to hatch. Which I would have to get a separate fridge just for, like a mini fridge, because I will do a lot of things, but I will not keep bugs near food.
Yeah, so we should probably go ahead and say that if you're averse to bugs or moths or caterpillars, you might just want to skip this review. Just fast forward about 10 minutes, because there's a lot of pictures of bugs in here.
I do want to say that each issue of Ply is $11. And things that I really enjoy about Ply are the font sizes. So it is a larger font, which I appreciate. Let me just get a so it is a pretty large font, which as I get older, I appreciate. It is a very picture-heavy publication, and it is an independently published publication.
And it is one where the ads take up 10% versus the standard 40-ish% that are found in knitting and craft magazines.
Other things I really appreciate about Ply is there's a huge community section, whether it's the tip jar or I really like the tip jar section, which people send in and give tips to that issue, and it's something that they have every time. They have what's coming up in different communities, so going on fiber events, and they support independent dyers. So most of the fiber is indie fiber, which I appreciate.
Yeah, and their ad rates are actually very reasonable. So if you're an independent crafter and you have something that would relate to the Ply magazine, if you can catch one of their ad spots, you should, because they're really well priced. Excuse me. So this issue, more than the previous 3, seemed to be very article heavy, which is great because you learn tons just through the tests that they do.
3 patterns.
Yes, there are. There's mitts, there's a skirt, and there's a stole.
I love that little baby skirt. One of my favorite.
Okay, I just have to say, bugs. See the different size of the caterpillars.
Yeah. Basically, in this issue, if you want to know something about silk, it is in here. Whether it's how to raise silkworms, I didn't realize that there was a Mississippi bug museum that had a silk textiles section. That's in that first article. So I'm going to have to check that out. Where to get the silk, because different types of silk can be hard to find, like the Mugo silk versus, and I'm probably mispronouncing that.
Yeah, there's Muga, Mulberry, Bombyx.
So there's different types of silk, and we spun that in the silk class that I took. We spun like 10 different kinds of silk, but just finding those, like where that you can buy those resources from, can be pretty hard. I also really like Anne Krieg has an article in here about the different, how to like keep records and sampling for spinning silk, whether it's you're spinning this semi-woolen 2-ply.
I really, really love the sample section, because it's always something I want to know, but it's never something I'm willing to do. Like, I'm always interested to see, and they talk about, in another article they talk about is S, Z, and Y, which is the direction of ply and why it's important in silk specifically.
But also with woven samples, crochet samples, and knit samples, which works for all of us. Like, so that is super smart.
They show you what it looks like in the skein, and then they show you what it looks like when you knit, and it'll tell you this was spun in the S direction, both the singles, and then plied in the Z direction. They have different types of silk that are sampled, and like, to me, I would have never, and until I read this magazine, I didn't think that it made a difference. If you spun both singles in the Z direction and you plied them in the S direction, why would that be different than two singles spun in the S direction and plied in the Z direction? I don't understand. Like, my brain doesn't understand why that's different. But it is. Like, you can clearly see it in the samples.
With the technical aspects. I also like, they go into patterns and stuff, but I like that they did, Carson Demers, who does the ergonomic type stuff, has like a whole thing about stretching and, how spinning silk can be harder on your hands and what to do and take breaks and do all these, and he actually has stretches in here, and I'm pretty sure this is JC's fiance. I'm like 99% sure.
I'll spare you what his nickname is.
I'm pretty sure that's him. For the photo shoot. But
and like Laura mentioned, there's a scene section which talks about upcoming events. It's got listed the Long Island Fleece and Fiber Fair, which I didn't know existed. The Massachusetts Sheep and Wool Festival, which I went to last year. A Wool Fest 2014, which is in, this is what it says, Cockermouth, Cumbria, UK. It says it in the magazine. And then Black Sheep Gathering, which I know Knitmore Girls usually go to, and that's in Oregon. And it talks a little bit about each event.
It also, this magazine discusses wheel spinning versus spindle spinning, and I love their stealth reviews. Like, that's one of my favorite things. They did do a stealth review of the Mad Batter a couple issues ago, and this one's on Bosworth spindles. Which
I read every single bit of this article, as well as their sort of pros and cons list that they had. There's nothing negative about Bosworth spindles whatsoever in here. They're pricey, but they're worth it. They're really, really well made spindles. And I think that once he goes out of business, because his son didn't take up the craft, did he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So
Mr. Bosworth and his wife run the business, and they are getting up there. So that's something to think about. There is an article about spinning silk hankies, which is one of our Expand Your Horizons this summer, I believe, that's coming up. So there's a great article about spinning with silk hankies. I wish they had done knitting with unspun silk hankies as one of the...
that would have been fun. Yeah, like Stephanie Pearl McPhee did a pattern with those.
Yeah, like the mittens.
For the super science geeky ones of you out there, and I don't say that with disdain, those that can deal with it have my utmost respect. There is an article about the actual microscopic properties of the different types of silk and how they look as far as being in parallel, the smoothness, the diameter, etc. And that's very interesting. As I read it, I sort of hear that white noise that you used to get on a TV when you were on the channel that didn't exist, just because I don't need to, like, the super duper technical stuff sort of just goes over my head.
I love the Kick It Ruffles and Waves skirt. I can totally see Julia rocking that.
I love that. That's super
one of
cute.
the 3 patterns in here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super cute, and it uses a polar silk blend, a 75%, 25% blend.
The other pattern, another one of the patterns in here is for mitts, and I really am impressed with the finished yarn that was used to make these mitts. It was a 2-ply fingering weight spun from 1 ounce of Cormo silk, and this is what it looks like, and you can see just how fine that yarn had to be in order to get such a really nice uniform stitch. I was very impressed with that.
I also really like the prep it section as someone who wants to get more into prepping fiber, because it talks about the percentages, or someone who's just interested in the structure of yarn in general, because it goes into silk blended with long wools and the different percentages, so like up to 15%, there's little visual effect, increased strength, and the difference is like in the fine wools, 10 to 20% you get visual effect, but more so in bats than top.
And that was actually written by Josette of Enchanted Knoll Farm.
Yes.
And I really found there's a chart in there, which it's sort of a cheat sheet. So for this type of wool, no more than this percentage if you want to maintain strength versus whatever. And I really liked that. I'll have to cut that out, or make a copy and cut that out to keep for when I start blending fiber eventually. I actually was really interested in this article about Tazar silkworms, which are raised in India, I believe. And it talks about, and there's a picture of some of the cocoons, but it talks about small villages that have been sort of set up to raise a very specific type of silkworm that has not acclimated to being raised indoors. It won't acclimate. It'll only reproduce and all that outside. So there are whole villages dedicated to preserving them, and apparently the more you touch them, the less silk they produce. So when they move them from trees, they just cut the limbs and move the whole limb full of the caterpillars.
It's interesting.
Over to the bigger trees, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, the whole village is involved in it, and you can see a crop worth of cocoons.
Neat.
So
it's an overall really good glimpse into the history of silk, the modern environmental and economic concerns of silk, and also more what we think about as spinners, knitters, weavers, and crocheters. What can we do with silk? And how does spinning affect what we use it for? So it's a great issue.
It is. It does have.
Always does a good job.
A little bit on the Silk Road, which was used for travel and trade. It has a really cool article on developing a silk reeler, which the Klims and Klims folks are working on getting into production this year, which looks cool. I don't know that I'll ever need one, but it looks really cool. And it has a section about doing some more textured yarn and adding in bits.
Yeah.
I really appreciate all the step-by-step pictures that JC and team take when they put a technique in their magazine, because they really are detail-oriented, which helps. So that's the 4th issue of Ply. Like Laura said, it's $11. If you subscribed at the beginning, this will be your last issue unless you go out and resubscribe.
And there are some people who sell it in their stores. There are some stores like the Folds that actually sell Ply in their actual stores.
I don't think it's available digitally at this point. I don't know that if she has plans to make it available digitally or not. I wish that she would, but I'm fine with keeping the hard copy until then.
I actually prefer this as a hard copy because
I like
of the
this.
picture-heavy.
My only
articles.
complaint is that, and I'm such a child of this generation, I fully admit it, that when I'm looking for something, it's a lot easier to open it digitally and do a search for a word and have it come up. Like, that's the only reason
I like flipping through magazines.
Well, I do too, but then you flip upon something like this and it ruins your whole day.
I like that dude. He's cool.
So, anyway, that's our book review.
Mothman right there.
We have a question, right?
We do have a question. Marilyn Knits says, how do you handle alternating skeins in a project using hand-dyed yarns and other yarns with shade variations? I've never been satisfied with my attempts. Well, in the sweater that there's different ways of doing it, but like in the sweater that I was just working with, it was knit flat. And so I used one color to do 2 rows and then switch to the next and just carry them up along the side. If you're knitting in the round, you can do it every round.
Or you can do it every other round. It's up to you. Yeah. I prefer, if I'm doing it in the round, I prefer to alternate every round just because I feel like there's less tug on that last stitch of the previous row and the first stitch of that next row from the difference of 2 rows versus the difference of 1 row. And that could just be my neurotic brain, but that's how I feel, so I'll try to do it that way.
And then, like, on my antler cardigan, I just knit, like, almost the entire skein, and then, like, did 3 rounds with, or 1 round with the next, then, 3 rounds with the original, 2 rounds with the next color, and just kind of faded into it that way.
That's sort of like what I call, sort of cheater blending. If I'm using a yarn that doesn't have a lot of variation, say it's a mainstream yarn like Cascade, or it's a very solid indie yarn, like it's a solid color and it's not tonal or anything like that, it's just one color and it looks well matched to my eyes, then I'll knit until I only have 3 or 4 rows worth left, and then I'll start working in the other skein, 1 row of the old, 1 row of the new, and that's all personal preference. Like,
but you have to watch it, because like there's definitely a band on my Antillier that is different. So
I thought that was all out of 1 skein of Woolmiza.
No, it was out of 3. 1 ball is just like 500 yards.
Oh, I thought that was out of the lace weight. That's
no, it's DK.
Okay.
That's okay.
But yeah, like Laura said,
all my sweaters memorized.
It is a risk you take with indies. Typically with your commercial yarns like Cascade or Shepherd's Wool or something like that, you don't have to worry so much about alternating. But
when you swatch, you can always try alternating different methods in your swatch and see how you like it. And that would affect your swatch too, so you would want to do that.
The downside, or one of the downsides that I have found, is when you decide that a sweater doesn't fit and you want to rip it out and you've alternated every row, it is a bear to rip that sucker out. I
had a skein winder set up and a ball winder set up yesterday.
When I was ripping mine out, I was using a ball winder, and then the other one I was just winding into a ball as I went. But it is a bear. What else can we say on alternating skeins?
I think it's worth doing, though.
I definitely think it's worth doing.
Sometime I'll have to show y'all when I find it. It's in a bin somewhere of clothes that haven't been unpacked since the move, but I have my featherweight where I did not alternate skeins. And my Malabrigo was definitely, even though it was the same dye lot, was definitely different colors. If you do have something that is definitely different colors like that, you can always over dye it. And that would be one way to correct that problem. And
you can reach out, especially if it's an indie. And one example of this is from our friend Stacy, who dyes for Tempted. She has Tempted Yarns. She had a customer who had ordered several skeins of a colorway, and it was a tonal colorway, so it wasn't solid, so it was meant to have some variation, and the customer was unhappy with the finished product.
Was it Stacy's yarn or was it someone else's yarn?
I don't remember.
I think it was someone else's.
Well, but anyhow, this person contacted Stacy of Tempted and said, would you over dye the whole thing, the whole finished object? Would you just dye it so it'll all blend? And Stacy did, and the customer was happy. I think you're right. I think it was a commercial yarn that she ended up over dyeing for somebody, because I remember it being a brown of some sort. But anyhow, it is possible that you could get in touch with the indie and have them over dye the whole finished object. That wouldn't work if it's like color work or I probably wouldn't do it if the item had beads, because in order to dye you have to apply a lot of heat. So I wouldn't do anything with beads in it.
Crack the glass.
But that's another option, I guess. You
Yeah.
could over dye it yourself. You could knit some swatches and then over dye the swatches and, you know. So there's possibilities. I hope that helped a little bit.
Yeah. So, that's how we do our alternative skeins. I'm sure other people have different ways of doing it, and we'd be happy to read some of those comments in the episode thread. Next on the needles, I am going to be knitting Tubularity by Martina Bem. It's a pattern she just released this last week. It is kind of like what Leslie's Never-Ending Shawl that she cheated on.
I didn't cheat on it. I was creative.
So it looks like this, and it is basically a big tube, do it this way, that has different colors, and it starts on that by that triangle right there, which is knit flat, and then the rest of it is knit in the round with increases. So it's a little bit different. She uses Miss Babs actually does kits for the shawl. It's called the Polydactyl set. It's 7 different colors at 133 yards each, and I priced them the other day. They're around $65, I want to say. So that's not bad because you're getting 700 yards. But I have a stash.
You do have quite the stash.
And I have some, like my Punky Brewster.
You should do like shades of purple.
Where I used like 50 yards of this. So there's 350 yards left. So I'm going to do 5. And I'm going to, I could do shades of purple, but I want to use this yarn because it's so pretty.
It's got purple in it.
It's like a pink.
It looks purple to me.
So I have this. I'm going to do 5 because I have more. I have that. That's that same color that's in there. I have this. It's 3. I have the gray from leftover from socks, so like 350 yards there. So I'm going to do it by weight. And I'm going to get one more out of the stash. Probably a solid purple.
Cool.
Or a green. There's that lime green in there.
Yeah, I like the lime color.
But I think the rest, I'm just going to use that as my one and then do the rest out of semi-solids. So, and I have less of the cherry, the Mantosh Light Cherry that I did a shawl out of than anything else. I have like half a skein. So that's going to be the first color because it's narrower on that end.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it by weight. So that's the plan. And it's going to be a long-term project. It's not going to be... It's probably going to take the place of stockinette socks in a bag somewhere because it'll just be round and round and round.
Yeah.
So that's what's next up for me.
For me, the next thing is still the maroon socks in the Juno yarn, the Buffy Tuffy colorway. I just haven't cast them on yet because this was... I had already caked this. And I was, you know... It's been a long week being on call. I'm ready to not be on call anymore. And I just didn't have the brain power to wind anything. So anyway.
Being on call means like a casino could call you at any time and say, I
so
have a problem,
we have...
solve it.
Right. I work for a gaming company that has 30-ish casinos across the country and then some overseas, although I only work on the products that are in the country. But yes, so if there's a problem with a particular system that I support, at any one of those 30-plus casinos, and it's a high enough priority that it actually affects a customer, then they call me. Well, they call whoever's on call. And I only have to do it. There's enough of us that I only have to do it 4 times a year, which is great, because other departments, like my fiance, we work at the same company, and he works in the, it's called the Wintel group, but it's basically like how the different servers talk to each other. He's on call once a month. So, it's better for me, but it's tiring. That week that I work on call is just a tiring week. But you know that ahead of time. So.
No end in sight, really.
Yeah. But, I do get to hang out with some friends next weekend, which will be really nice.
Yay. That'll be great.
Let's see. What else? Favorite things? You've had some folks tell you happy birthday here.
So thank you everyone for all your happy birthday wishes. I greatly appreciate it. It's been lots of fun. Y'all have made my 33rd birthday a good one, so I appreciate that. So thank you. We have a giveaway in honor of my birthday.
Oh yes. Well, let's do the giveaway from the previous week first.
So the previous week is Stitch Pray Love gave us a lotion bar or a choice of a lip balm trio to give away. She's got great stuff. I was using her lip balm all this week during testing because my lips got super dry just walking around a room for hours on end. So let me pull up Ravelry real fast.
Alright, I'm going to lock the thread, and if you tell me how many people there are, that would be helpful.
I will get there in a second. I obviously did not pull it up earlier. I actually did show notes on the other computer.
You will never get rid of that thing, will you?
I love my Mac. Be nice to my Mac. I like it so much better than my PC. I only use PCs because you like them.
Well, it's easier to get software for this than it is for the Mac.
It is. 156 is our total.
Okay.
So 2 through 156.
Okay, so 2 through 156. There's no result yet, but I'll push the button. And it says it is 85, which I believe will be on the 4th page.
Yep. And that is Maria Wilhelmina. And she loves the lemon scent, so coconut lemongrass sounds yummy. So Maria Wilhelmina, if you will get in contact with me, Lala, on Ravelry, I will hook you up with the lovely person behind Stitch Pray Love, which is Julia. Julie.
Sweet.
I don't know why I said Julia, because I've got Julie on the brain.
Because you've got your nieces on the brain.
Because they sang me happy birthday. But Julie from Maine, who does Stitch Pray Love, is amazing, and we will hook the two of you up so you can get your prize. Next week's prize is the yarn.
Dream in Color.
Yeah, Dream in Color generously in honor of my birthday and the release of the pattern donated 3 skeins of their Smushy with Cashmere, which is enough to do the shawl, Curiouser and Curiouser, and the pattern Curiouser and Curiouser, and it will come your way. So,
and this is actually the color that you knit in, correct?
Yep, this is Blue Sulk. So that's part of the Alice in Wonderland. I was like, I need something Blue Sulk. What goes with Blue Sulk? And I was like, Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Just a little sulky.
So how will they enter to win
So we
this?
will do a contest in the Ravelry group, the TheKnitGirlls Ravelry group, and it will be open through, what is next week, the 6th?
Till the next time that we record, which will be the 6th, yes.
Yep, so April 6th.
So I say for this contest, if you don't have an idea yet,
okay,
I say we do your favorite birthday tradition.
There you go. That's a good one.
Like, whether it's something that you do for your children's birthday, or whether it's something that your parents always did for you, or something to that effect.
There you go.
Which might be fun. It might introduce a new birthday tradition to Laura.
Yeah. Because my month is not long enough.
It is not.
So we will go ahead. I'll go ahead and open that contest tomorrow. Tomorrow should be good. I'm trying to think what I have going on at work tomorrow.
It'll be open tomorrow, whether it's me or Laura that opens it.
It'll be fine. So it will be open tomorrow, and you feel free to leave your favorite birthday tradition. 1 entry per person, must be a member of the group to win, and it will close next Sunday when we record, which is typically around 5 p.m. Central.
Yeah. We sort of float each week, just depending on what each one of us has going on, so.
That's true. Other things.
I don't think we really have anything else. We are doing a new knit-along in the SSK group, and it is charity-driven. You can read all about it in the sticky thread in the SSK group. If you're going to SSK and you aren't a member of the group, you probably should. We did not get a chance to draw names from the lottery yet. We will this coming week. We absolutely will.
Because we have how many spaces open?
We have 4 spaces in the regular on-site option. I do not believe we have any day pass spots, but we have 4 spots in the regular option. So we'll reach out to whoever the random number generator picks, and I'll post in the SSK thread when I pulled, so if you're curious, you can check your email at that point.
Sounds good.
I think that's it.
Cool. Yeah, it's been kind of a calm week.
Yeah, we still managed to hit an hour. We're just talented that way.
We are. Well, we will see you all next week, so have a good one.
Have a good one. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.